everyone. Welcome back to High on Feminism, the pre-show. I am so excited about our next guest. Her name is Mary Jane Oatman. She is the founder of the Indigenous Cannabis Coalition, as well as a publisher of THC Magazine, host of the THC Smoke Signals podcast. She's a mom. She's starting a media company. She's doing everything. Mary Jane, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's such an honor to join you all, and just I'm really humbled to be invited on as a guest, quite honestly. And it's because of the caliber of work that you are doing in this space. So much gratitude to you for having me on.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, High on Feminism was really about, I wanted to start a podcast that I could show my support for other women and what they're doing in the workforce, because I'm an entrepreneur and I know the struggles that I face, and I know that other women are similar struggles or different ones. And so I really wanted to give us an opportunity to talk about, what it takes to be a woman in business. All these articles are out about men and what they do and how to get to the top and all this stuff. And it's just what about this stuff for women? What about, the support of hey, I am, a mother and I'm also trying to run a business, or, I am a wife, or I am trying to go back to school while I'm doing it, trying to figure out the best way to navigate my life. And, that's what I'm, hoping that High on Feminism has become for a lot of people. And, just providing inspiration. And I know your story is super inspirational in the work that you're doing. So that's why we chose you to be on this. So I'm super excited because we every season have a bunch of different cannabis-based products that sponsor each of our episodes. We do try to stick to all female brands if possible, but then of course, we're still trying to make sure that number of women-owned businesses in the cannabis industry is going up. So we are supporting across the board, men and women, but we do try to primarily focus on women. We have some amazing products today. I know you got a cute little gift bag, so I'm excited that you everything got there safely. But one of the first things that we have been working with is Empire Glassworks. They are a glass company that was established in 2013. They have such intricate details. I know you got, I don't remember which one you got, but I know yours has the flowers and stuff. Yes. Okay. This one.
Loaded with a bowl.
Yeah, I know. Me too. I was I got a little bowl right here, ready to go. But Empire, thankfully, has been sponsoring us since the beginning of season 1. And they are creating oil rigs, glass accessories, pipes, bongs, all the good stuff. I don't know if you had a chance to look at their website, but they can literally create anything, which
my goodness, yes.
Yeah.
Their Instagram is just lit up with their beautiful products.
I got this little bug-eyed cat from them last year as well, which I really like. It kind of reminds me of the cat from Alice in Wonderland. So I got that one. And then, the detail isn't crazy. This one, for instance, has the penguins, the polar bear on it, and the ice caps. So it's just the imagination behind it, I think, is really great. I know that they work with a ton of different organizations, which is what I'm really loving, is the philanthropic side of it. I think that normal companies that aren't based in cannabis and CBD, they only think about donating or giving back when it's Black History Month or Indigenous Peoples Month or something like that. Whereas these companies, they're all trying to be very sustainable. And so they are working to give back to a bunch of different charities. And Empire gives to World Wildlife Fund, which obviously helps protecting that biodiversity in the rainforest, Coral Reef Alliance, Susan G. Komen, beekeepers, they're really trying to put in the effort to make sure that we have a sustainable future, which I think is super important. Obviously.
Oh yes, the work that they're doing on the conservation side of things is a beacon model for other cannabis companies, whether they be ancillary or direct plant touching, to look towards. The stewardship of the landscape that we have is really important as we grow the cannabis industry.
Yeah, definitely. So for you, I know that you are working a lot with, Indigenous people, bringing, the protection of those cultures, and it's kind of similarly aligned. So why don't you talk a little bit about some of the work that like you're doing and how it kind of plays into like the cannabis sphere?
Well, we have a lot of work to do in our Indigenous communities to end the negative stigma from the war on this beautiful plant medicine. And I think also what is happening when Indigenous women are coming into this arena as well is elevating the divine feminine spiritual energy that is the beautiful female cannabis plant that everybody enjoys. And so the preservation of our stories also entails the reclamation of the prehistory of our connection with the plant as sacrament through smoking, as well as the very rich and robust cordage histories that we had with hemp as well. And so part of the work is on the political advocacy side, protecting tribal sovereignty. And then the others is showcasing those stories of success in tribal communities that have found pathways to economic development, that are working on research, cancer therapeutic research with cannabis, opioid therapy research. This is all being done in our tribal communities, but sometimes in a silo. And so I really want to make sure that we can utilize the power of media to share our stories.
Definitely. Yeah. We have another woman that's going to be on the podcast this season. Her name's Kayla Croft, and she is one of the founders of Good Kind. I'm not sure exactly what her background is, but I know that she does have some Native American blood in her, and a lot of the work that Good Kind does as well is like giving back to those communities and highlighting. I have a small percentage. I don't know like which area yet. I know that like my biological mother is part Native American. I'm not sure, what tribe or whereabouts. But it's always been, a culture that I have, wanted to connect with more, just because of that connection there between like my birth mom and stuff like that. And I think, I love doing this because I want to learn. I don't consider myself an expert in cannabis whatsoever. I go find people like you who are experts in it so that I can learn and, take that knowledge and bring it to other people as well. So again, like I appreciate the fact that, you're here. Obviously we have like two different types of, products in terms of like rolling papers and pipes. What would you say is like your preference? Are you gonna like use this pipe a lot, or are you gonna run through those rolling papers pretty quickly?
So, that was one of the things that the COVID pandemic caused me to realize, is that I was a very social smoker, and within my cultural circle, we smoked a lot of joints. And so I went through a lot of papers, and then I was looking at one of my little stacks, and I realized I kind of had a buildup of papers, and that I had kind of fallen back to, I was busting out knife hits, smoking by myself. I was smoking on my old bongs. And so I really think that I'm going to give this beautiful little piece from Empire Glass a run for its money. One, because it's super pretty. And the other, I have a lot of cannabis users in my family, a lot of men. And this is one piece that I can set down and I know it's not going to get stolen by my brother, because, it's just too pretty, with the intricate details of the roses and everything on it. So I definitely for myself would be smoking on the pipe quite a bit. But I'm really, really excited to, try the rolling papers and bring those to my next gathering and bust out my jar and just start rolling up a whole bunch of smokes, because people are going to be like, whoa, where'd these pink joints come
right?
from?
That's one of like the favorite things about it too. So we did an event out in LA at the end of March where, we got a lot of our, podcast sponsors to sponsor this event as well. And one of our friends actually brought us to the attention of AFG Sugar and was like, hey, like I work with these girls, this is what they're doing. And they're a very new company. It's a minority female-owned rolling paper brand. It is honestly the first product that is, well, how do I phrase this correctly? It is, I think it is some of the thinnest papers in the market. I know that much. And I know that is the first minority female-owned rolling paper brand. That's how I phrase it. So first minority-owned female rolling paper brand. The woman behind it, she is from Afghanistan. I know, it's so funny because when I started the podcast and I started looking at our logo, I don't know, I just naturally thought of like a mouth and smoking a joint, and that's what it was. And then it was so funny once we started getting going, there are so many lips dedicated, products, and AFG Sugar is one of them. And yeah, I love the fact that these lips are here. It's kind of like the Kylie Jenner thing.
Yes. It's sexy, it's classy, yep. and it just screams to women who are a large sector of the cannabis industry as consumers. Definitely we have to be a little bit louder to let others know that we are pivotal, at the corporate seat as well.
Yeah.
And the business table. But, sometimes we may not be behind the cameras and getting the limelight. That's because we're getting the work done behind the scenes.
Yes, yes, that is very true. I feel like we're trying to revitalize the industry, especially as more and more states become legalized, especially as more licenses are given to people to be able to actually have their own dispensaries and stuff. People are really readjusting the way that they market, cannabis products. And yeah, most of the time they're dark and hard colors and, aimed towards men and all of that kind of stuff. And now we're seeing this influx of feminine owned companies that are just, I want some pink ass rolling paper. I want to feel cool. I love raw. Don't get me wrong. Love raw papers. But having these papers, I think just gives you that little bit more of a feminine edge to it. And, their biggest slogan is that they're painting the tobacco and cannabis industry pink, which I love. Because, my office is pink. I try to incorporate pink into a lot of the things that I do. And I think women just tend to, they know how to market to women because we are women. So I'm really loving just seeing all of this.
And that's what I love about how AFG Sugar did their packaging, their marketing, their branding with so much intentionality to reach women, because they know that, other companies are not messaging to women and may not be, and they've created a brand where they can now back women-owned businesses, partner with them. And so, on the media side of things, that was one thing that I did not realize that was going to be a need within the work that we're doing with Tribal Hemp and Cannabis Magazine, is that other up-and-coming tribal companies or individual entrepreneurs that are looking for a pathway into the cannabis industry are reaching out to us about, how to do marketing, how to do branding, what is IP? I keep hearing all this stuff about IP, and protecting what we're building. And that's why it's really neat to work with brands that are in hemp and CBD, as well as, cannabis and the ganja side of things, because they kind of really are two different worlds.
Yeah.
The first being my safe entry point, talking to tribes about hemp fiber, having elders actually try a topical for the first time and have relief and that was non-pharmaceutical really for the first time in their life. And then they hear, oh, wow, there's, other products. I can do a bath bomb. What? There's, bath bars. And that's why, with like the other product that was sent, I was so in love with the fragrance of the pomegranate and black currant from Buena Botanicals. Like, I cannot get enough of that smell.
Yeah, when I first got this in, I literally just like walked around for a while just smelling it. And I've been waiting because I was like, I know myself. I will take a bath and use this whole bar of soap before we even get on here. So let me wait until after we do this. But I'm definitely going to take a bath with this ASAP. I love what you were saying, though, about the difference between like CBD and cannabis and how they are so different, because I think the same way, too. And I'm happy to hear you say that, because I think sometimes when I talk to people about whether or not they use cannabis and stuff like that, they're like, oh, I use CBD. And I'm like, but that's a very different thing. It's a very different feeling. That they're sometimes used for very different ailments, so I don't like discriminate against it, but it is very different from like using cannabis. But the CBD part of it is what more people are gravitated towards, because I think that is the part of the industry that has had a little bit more education, a little bit more information about it over the last few years. So people have gotten used to it and sort of made their way into CBD. And now with, cannabis becoming legalized, people are starting to realize all this other information that they didn't know before, of like how it can help and how it's very important to understand the strains that you're using as well, and how those react with your body. So I really love that. And yeah, AFG Sugar too, like, they are working on bringing visibility to like the other indigenous cultures that have to do with the cannabis industry. And I think that not everyone would think that Afghanistan would have that much to do or any sort of relation to the cannabis industry. But in reality, we know that they use hemp in their clothing and their, carpets, all of that stuff. We also know that, for instance, like the word Kush is literally an
the landrace strains are like, they're all from there.
Yeah, So it's exciting to, I think over the last few years, rightfully so, of course, we have, of course, focused a lot more on Black culture and Indigenous people. But I'm excited about the fact that this sort of resurgence in information about the cannabis industry, this sort of like revolution we're in, is really starting to bring forth other like minority groups and Indigenous cultures and teaching people about them from a different level.
Yes.
And I think that America is just, brainwashed into like what our history is. And that then gives us this negative idea and thought towards these other minority groups because of that like history that we were taught. So I love the fact that people are, taking a lot bigger strides to be able to showcase, what are the other cultures that are a part of these big, exciting pop culture movements. And cannabis right now is a very big pop culture movement. So, just love it. Just love everything.
I love that you bring that up, because there's a lot of movement for, the liberation of all different forms of the medicine. And I just recently, in the past year, became more apprised of, a lot of those, a lot of the work and the liberation of, of hashish. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, and that's, one of the things that I was, very fortunate to be able to grow up with the smells of some, really old, like Pakistani hashish that would make its way through the trade routes to the reservations. And so to realize that, countries of origin from some of these medicines are still fighting is, it's the recognition that we have not crossed the finish line yet. We can't necessarily do a victory dance and high five each other. There's still time on the clock.
Yeah, there's so much work to be done in so many different areas, but at least we're, headed in that direction, and it feels like we have more people that are ready to head in that direction too. So that's always great. Like you were saying, like Buena Botanicals is the other product that we have, and they sent us a nice little bath bar, which I love. It is like, it's just I know. I'm like,
I know. I could just smell it all day
day
long.
All
I'm like,
day.
I was thinking actually, as I was cleaning my car this morning, I was doing some of my just like little things that I needed to get done, house cleaning wise. And I thought, if I just shave off just a little bit of it and put it in the bag and then put it under my car seat, then my car would always have this wonderful fragrance to it. And I'm thinking, like, I want to just bottle this fragrance, and I have not even used it, in application yet. So I am just already sold just based on the smell. And it's I'm kind of like that. I'm really averse to really I guess you could say imitation fragrant flavors and fragrances and just really heavy perfumey. This is so natural, just the softness of the bar itself, and then just how I don't know. I'm just excited to use it. I cannot wait to take it.
I know, me too. So it has pomegranate and black currant, which I'm actually not familiar with what black currant is. I don't know if you know what that is.
I think it's a cherry.
Okay, some sort of cherry. I also love this bag that it's in as well. It comes in this cute little canvas knapsack. So this is also a woman-owned company. It was founded by twin sisters, Coral and Ron Hines. They just launched this company in 2019, so right ahead of the pandemic. God bless them. It's so crazy to it's great to see that, they're still thriving and they're still doing really well. And I know for right now, this bath bar is actually sold out online. So we are lucky enough to have it. But yeah, I mean, having, again, just female owned brands, thinking about the packaging, the scents, all of those things. And it is very much so, I would say what's the word? It's for both men and women. It doesn't have a strong sense that kind of leans too much towards the feminine side, but doesn't have that super masculine scent to it either. It's kind of a nice genuine in between. And I love it. And I love the fact that, this was actually inspired by their mother, so bringing moms into the mix. She apparently had arthritis, sciatica, several other conditions. And one of her favorite products was this bath bar, which I think is awesome. It has 28 milligrams of organic full spectrum CBD. It does come in 3 different scents, but obviously we are lucky enough to have this delicious scent. And it's handmade, infused with a blend of shea butter, cocoa butter, and coconut oil, which I feel like those have been so prominent in skincare products over the last couple of years as well. So I have definitely also been trying to shift into using products that have those things, and I feel the difference in my skin as well. It's just so much softer.
Oh, definitely. I was excited. I was thinking, oh wow, the bath bar, soaking in a bath bomb, because I saw that they carried the bath bombs. And then I was like, maybe they have the pomegranate black currant in their body balm or their body lotion, because then I could have that fragrance with me all day. But my grandmother, who is 84 today, it's her 84th birthday. Happy birthday, Grandma. She is a huge fan of tinctures as well as topicals, and she uses exclusively full spectrum CBD. And she, I am going to trade shows, I'm going to all of these different events, I'm connecting with women-owned, Indigenous-owned, minority-owned companies that are excited to share the products with Grandma. And so she likes to keep journals, she keeps notes of all of these different products that she uses, and she's like, this one right here, I need more of this one. And so I'm really excited to order her some of the Buena Botanicals tincture so that she can try that.
I love that. That's the thing. I wish that, more older people were interested in this. And I know some are, but a lot of them are very much marijuana is a drug, stay away. But, as we get older, and even just I'm in my 30s and I got back problems and shoulder problems, and I'm finding all of these products that have like CBD and THC and stuff that are just like really helping with like the soothing of it, the relaxation of muscles and stuff. And, you know, I think there needs to be like even more from like, you know, 60 plus on how we can educate them and get them excited about, you know, using these products and helping them from like a medical or ailment standpoint.
Oh, I completely agree. It feels like there needs to be more of a conversation about even just more CBD therapy, just as a part of a wellness plan. You know, juicing with, you know, cannabis as a part of a holistic wellness plan and a health plan, and not a reactive plan, but a proactive plan.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, there's just so many uses that we don't like, not we, but you probably know a lot more than I do, but like we, the general public, don't really understand. And, you know, I'm all for bringing in more of a like plant-based, you know, way of dealing with some of those things. You know, I've had family members that have had some like substance abuse issues. And I think that, you know, I'm very against like medications that are kind of like prescribed by doctors. So I know, for instance, like when I just recently like tore my Achilles. So when I tore my Achilles, I was like, I don't want any crazy drugs, you know, I'll just smoke weed at home. And it did help, you know, it did help a lot with just the pain management for sure. And I think that there's a lot of ripple effects that could happen if people come into the cannabis industry in the correct way and start using the plant in the ways like medicinally. I think it will have a lot of ripple effects across, you know, opioid addiction and all of that kind of stuff, just moving people away from, you know, those kinds of drugs and going more towards I don't consider cannabis a drug, it's a plant, you know? So moving more towards like that plant-based life that everyone wants to say they're a part of, but they limit out cannabis. It's like spinach and lettuce only, but no cannabis. Gotta do it all. But what would you say right now is like one of the things you're most excited about to see in the cannabis industry, like moving forward?
You know, as everything moves forward and there's a lot of conversation around legacy, you know, indigenous legacy with plant medicines, you know, I think undeniably, you know, can take the torch for being the carriers of the plant medicine legacies here in the United States. But, you know, a bigger part of that is, you know, my own family legacy. When I was a little girl growing up during the DARE era, my grandmother went to federal prison for growing cannabis on the Nez Perce Indian Reservation. And so despite that, you know, I was still raised to know the power of the plant, its healing, as well as its sources and economy. And so from a very young age, I mean, that's how I learned math. I was struggling in school in math, and my dad just, you know, I'd see things, you know, in the adult world, and my dad finally kind of had to break it down to me, the simple mathematics, and I had to have something tangible that I knew. And then it was like, oh, okay, so there's 28 grams in an ounce and this many ounces in a pound.
I'm still learning that.
Like it just kind of like, you know, and so when I think about the build out of this nation's legacy, cannabis, to me, that's families that were directly harmed by the war on drugs, yet still managed to navigate and find a way to, under the radar, you know, facing, you know, penalties of law, still be able to keep us a very, very vibrant subculture. And so as we look towards federal legalization, I really want to see the policymakers do something right for once for communities that were most impacted, put up real guardrails, not obstacles, not barriers to entry, but put up, you know, because if they don't, then the legacy and black market will only continue to thrive. And I think that just kind of, you know, thumbs in the face of public health and safety, if that's what the politicians are really looking to protect. if this is about taxes and, about who's making money off of whom, then, that's a very fearful place for the future of the cannabis industry, because that's, how the distributors were able to monopolize the alcohol industry. We don't want to see that with this beautiful plant medicine. We've seen the ups and the downs of it already, with just the instability with different states opening up at different levels and different paces, with legacy growers in Oregon who can't even sell their products yet. There's states opening up that can't fill their shelves with quality products on the eastern side of the United States, and it only makes sense because historically that interstate, nation to nation, coast to coast trade has always taken place. I mean, a big part of us knowing that is through music culture, and the gangster rap wars, and how they were always talking about moving their pounds, from Cali to New York. And so, it's still going on. We just need to make sure that those people that went through those decades have an opportunity of some sort.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm super excited to have our full conversation. I'm like wanting to just get into it now, but I'm like, all right, we got to hold off. But I know that there's so much that we can like get into and talk to about. And of course, I want to obviously learn a lot more about what you're doing and your side of things, how you got to that place. So everyone should definitely tune into the episode. Where can we find you online in the meantime?
Well, for free copies of digital downloads of THC Magazine, that's at www.indigenouscannabiscoalition.com. And if you're interested in following the wild and wacky weed world of Miss Mary Jane, I am on Instagram at Mary Jane _flower girl.
Yes, I love that handle. So cute. Thank you so much again to everyone that's watching. We have Buena Botanicals, nice, delicious bar of soap. We have, of course, Empire Glassworks and the amazing AFG Sugar rolling papers and tips. I know they're going to be coming out with more accessories in the coming years, but we're very excited about being able to have these products and showcase these brands on the show. Thank you all so much, and check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you download and listen to podcasts for Mary Jane's full episode coming soon.
Hi, On Feminism is awesome. Thank you so much.